Hey everyone, and welcome back to Kharak Cup number 9. We got some nice CVC action here, which will be fun to watch, between Mazrym and Shrike, and these are two players that I think are pretty well matched. So this should be a fun one to watch. Shrike, of course, we've seen in plenty of Kharak Cups. I don't think Mazrym has played in any of them just yet, although I think he used to do the Artifact Cup back in the day. I think. I could very well be wrong about this. I'm sure he'll tell us in the comments below. Anyhow, both players that are very fun to play with. Players who I think are pretty mid-tier, but like they like to pull off these really funny strategies that are really fun to watch. And I know Shrike has beaten Garmilator, so hey, that's something, right? Map, of course, being the Boneyard. And Mazrym has the spawn that I think we normally would prefer. I'd say so anyway. I think most players prefer this one here, but they're all good though. The Boneyard's quite a fun map. You know, I remember way back in the day, way back in the day, I'm talking like, what are we, 2016, yeah, when we watched Magpie casting. I remember this one particular moment where, like, I think it was A-Game versus, like, Tren or Discar or something, and there was, like, a fight going on here with, like, 3 artillery cruisers, like, firing back and forth at each other, and I was like, man, this is a map. I don't know why that's coming to mind right now. It's just back then, all the maps seemed so different to me because I hadn't really played them very much, you know what I mean? But like the way that I look at this area now is so different than the way I would have looked at it back then. And I guess it's true the meta has changed as well, so that's kind of understandable, but still, it's interesting that way. Mazrym loves to do funny things with base runner turrets. I'm really excited to see what he pulls off here. And he may be getting the early probe snipe, which would be nice for him. But no, it's not going to linger around for too long. Mazrym's probe, meanwhile, hasn't even taken a scratch, which is nice. Looks like Shrike gonna take a more aggressive position on the artifact, but you can tell that Mazrym is setting up for a turret over here, right? And it should have high ground, although it won't have vision down on that area over there. So I think Shrike can just kind of walk away from this. And this early on in the game, you know, both players can definitely look at that kind of thing. You can say, oh, okay, is there line of sight here? You know, they've got time for that, so. But Shrike's just gonna drive right up here. Uh-oh. No, don't do it. It's not good. Don't do it. Oh, wow, he's actually... Well, Mazrym kind of fell asleep there. No turret gonna get dropped for him, so... Base runner gonna start getting chopped away at. I'm not sure what he's gonna do from here. But it looks like that base runner probably going to go down. Funny stuff there. You tend to see kind of silly things like this in CVC. This is why Garmilator and Discar, when they're playing against each other, pretty commonly open up with AAVs each, right? Because they're obviously going to use that base runner turret. It's such a powerful early game tool. The AAVs can smoke it, and you can get, you know, a favorable position against them. So there's generally some pretty complex AAV plays that go down when you see those two play each other. In this case, Shrike just like decided after the turret spawn like came off of cooldown, like I'd like to actually go up onto this hill, and Mazrym was like, oh, she's coming after us. What do we do with this? Looks like Shrike is opening SC first. Mazrym too, actually. Shrike should be just a little bit faster, and he does have AAVs out on the field already, and that's a little tricky for Mazrym. He doesn't want to cancel this support cruiser, but if the AAVs just steam on, there may be some economic damage done right there. So, Shrike will want, or sorry, Mazrym will want to slow him down probably just a little bit if he can. Oh, my ear hurts. Haven't worn my headphones that much in the last week, so not really used to them anymore, you know what I mean? And it's going to be early railgun fabrication for Mazrym, so that's pretty cool. Does well against those AAVs, right? Actually, from both players, it looks like they're really mostly on the same wavelength here, aren't they? Support cruisers at just about the same time. Railguns just about the same time. This guy way out of position, but that's alright. Actually, Shrike did that quite nicely, I think. Excuse me, I just had tons of cottage cheese, so it's coming out now. And I gotta say, Mazrym doing an excellent job poking on this base runner if he hasn't actually taken any damage on these guys. We know LAVs obviously have more range than AAVs, but just barely, so to be able to do that is actually quite impressive, I think. And this turret still stands. I think it will be more useful than we're expecting later on. Looks like it's not going to be air, or at least we haven't seen any indications of that, but Heavy Vehicles Armor 2 coming out now for Shrike, which is really cool. I'd like to see him actually throw a railgun in the mix already, just because you kind of expect your opponent to be doing the same. Oh, wow. Excuse me. I must be more tired than I think. I'm always more tired than I think. It's just the human predicament, right? Last Arts is gonna get on me for clicking so much. He sent me a clip from one of the videos I made in the 2v2 league, where I'm just like... He's like, Bozocal, what are you doing? Like, why are you clicking so much? And I was like, oh gosh, I don't know, man. Blind AA tech coming out here from Mazrym, which is not a terrible choice because he hasn't seen anything, but I think that's the terrible choice, right? Is to not have like scouted this. I think the probe could have seen that by now, and I think the probe is seeing like a red blip here and thinking, well, I can't push in. Then there's probably a base runner, but that's actually that turret. But yeah, it's unfortunate for him. He's gonna go for a missile battery here because he definitely doesn't need it. And Shrike, meanwhile, is starting to get all those railguns that I was talking about earlier. And that's definitely what I wanted to see. He's got the armor upgrade advantage. Actually, by quite a lot. So if it comes down to a railgun war now, he should definitely win that. And that would be... That's a very decisive thing to win early on in a game, you know what I mean? He's got one AV here to cover for the LAVs. I think he should maybe try to mix in more of them, or at least not have these guys so far out in that case. But yeah, his railgun count looking very good right now. And I think that, you know, like his opponent going for power reserves, we usually don't see that as a particularly bad idea, but the thing is, you know, Shrike is doing the same just with artifacts, and that's obviously better. He's got more time to research other techs, and he's actually going to go for some blind AA as well, but yeah, he's got time to research other techs, and he's got more money, you know what I mean? He's got more money to do whatever he wants, basically. Timely smoke there, gonna probably save that AAV's life. Well, no, I guess the carrier's not actually gonna chase. Of course, he need to get that missile launcher over the hill before it can begin shooting, right? And Mazrym gonna see this, he knows now. That doesn't make it easy to deal with, though. And he should probably recognize, even with even numbers, he ought to lose this fight. So it's definitely going to be difficult. I'd like to see what he does to try and hold that off. He's going for LAV upgrades, which I like. And he's got the boost pack now. So, yeah, that can obviously be really good. If there's just enough AAVs here, though, you usually won't have a problem with LAVs, right? And in this case, there's also a turret right here. I just heard LAVs use boost. I don't think it was these guys. Okay, I was going to say, like, it better not be those guys, because... they didn't move anywhere. That'd be a bit of a waste. Third artifact gonna get picked up now by Shrike. I would like to see him put down another turret at this rate, just to be safe. You know, have like a stranglehold on like this area. A Maginot line, if you don't mind me saying. Sorry, Sarum. Saum. One thing missile batteries do that is quite nice for your army is that they shoot down like probes, right? That's usually not a big deal, but like, hey. And I feel like Mazrym has not done anything to respond to this. But that turret, like I said, you know, could prove to be very useful, right? I think it's in an excellent position where Mazrym can push in on the side to like try and catch the army halfway. But there's a big blocker here, and then there's the turret covering that flank, so... Oh, LAVs, please. 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 Oh no. I hope the support cruiser gets out of here, but it very well could not. There's no AAVs in the area, so there's no smoke potential here. They're attacking salvagers. Actually, he got out of vision, so he's gonna be fine. But I think if these AAVs push up, that would definitely be the right move and kind of set up like the pincer, right? And then, yeah, I think Shrike actually just kind of got army wiped, which is sort of surprising. Oh, look at that, LAVs. I didn't even notice this. So suddenly things are turning not as well as I thought they would for Shrike. These AVs did not push up. That would have definitely been a support cruiser kill, and I think that would have made this all worth it. Also, this support cruiser is going to want to get into the position where he can be healed by the other one. But these LAVs still not being cleaned up here, and I think it's salvagers that they're going for now, which is not ideal, I think, because you can probably get away with killing that support cruiser. You can see how hard it is to kill salvagers. They got one that whole time that they were there. This railgun here doing its best to stay alive. But yeah, these 3 AAVs definitely could have been really impactful in that fight, taking out the support cruiser here. Third artifact gets extracted though. Shrike should be able to rebuild. He's got a lot of money. He's got a lot of production. And he has the upgrade advantage, yeah. In fact, his opponent doesn't even have mag accelerator. So if it comes down to these railgun fights, he wins, like almost guaranteed. I think to counter these 4, he'd only even need 2. I'm not sure if I'm actually that confident in the numbers. And then of course there's high ground to consider, but it makes a big difference. Put it that way. I love the design, by the way, for the railguns. The way that they're like, they have like the 3 treads on them. And the reason I love that is because I think it's actually very sensible, you know? The AAV would suffer like a lot of rollback if it fired a shot like that, but the railgun really won't, because the way that it's like set up. I think it's really cool. That's always been something I've liked about Homeworld. They seem to actually worry about like the structural integrity of their units, whereas you see a lot of sci-fi games like, or just think of like the like starships from like Star Trek. Like, holy goodness, you like sneeze on this thing, it's gonna break, you know what I mean? But I never got that feeling from Homeworld. They look very much, you know, like durable, serviceable vehicles, which I really like. I'm not sure who does their art for them, but whoever he is, he deserves a cookie. Very prompt smoke on the support cruiser right there. That's obviously what we like to see. AV's also leading the charge, which is good. They might want to smoke themselves here. At any rate, they don't want to push out without the railguns, right? Fourth artifact, it's extracted. That's obviously going to be pretty relevant. Yeah, still no upgrades on these railguns, and so they're not faring particularly well, are they? I mean, we know what like the Garmilator style move here is, where you try to avoid the upgrades in the macro and just like have more numbers on them based on momentum, because you've been producing for longer on these 2 base plays. But in order to do that means you have to be in like basically constant contact with your enemy. It's not very easy to pull that off. I don't think this worked very well for Mazrym. And at this point, if I were Shrike, I would just start going for these Powerzers. You can see he's constantly got the money for it. Either that or some other tech. Descaro, of course, likes to go Assault Cruiser into Artillery, but honestly not because it works better, just because it's more fun. Which I would agree with. But yeah, I mean, you got the money, you got the time to advance into something higher, so I think you might as well go for it now. These 3 AAVs still being annoying. I definitely think they could have gotten that SC kill, that would have been better, but this is good too. I mean, look how much mining time they've denied now off this 3rd base here. And there is a missile battery here that can always be deadly. Mortar gonna get fired. Just catch this one guy out who didn't get the memo, I guess. This time the rails ought to kill off this support cruiser. There's a lot more of them. Oh well, actually, yeah. Once again, there's only one AAV guarding here, and the LAVs have kind of found their way around. That was an interesting message noise that Steam gave you. Not sure if you were able to hear that. Cruise missile gets launched here in a very close position. So close you didn't even get to see the icon, really. Doesn't take out too many of those railguns, though. Support cruiser are going to go down over on this side, so it's 2 lost now. And Mazrym definitely looking a little bit bullied right here. He's got a powerful carrier. So much so that it starts to be where the only way to really fight this off is with a powerful carrier of your own, but his eco has definitely seen better days. And look at that nice mortar there too, also going to hit all of those salvagers on the way out there. That's quite nice to see. Yeah, I mean, I think Shrike can go for power reserves here, but he doesn't really need to make any units. He can honestly just go for, like, BCs or something, too. Yes. God. Oh, I guess he could have just protected the Space Runner and probably won, but that's alright. He can still definitely take the fight with Mazrym's carrier. Just needs to get his power reserves up, have a big railgun army, and he'll be fine. And AAV's also nice to see. You can see he's kept one on his main and his third, which are kind of the two places you expect to get attacked. This turret here is still alive, by the way, which is amazing. Seems like a really clean game from him, you know. I was quite pleased with this one. Yeah, I think I would go for a battlecruiser fabrication here, but I do like to mix things up a bit, and you know, maybe that's just me being weird. But you know, I think it's a unit that the carrier is not going to be able to kill, at least not very quickly. And so you can kind of just like drop it on all of his bases and then force him into the endgame a bit harder. It's not like the railguns, which they slowly get taken out over time. And you can see him mixing in a a missile battery there. I think that's actually not a bad choice. Obviously, he doesn't expect air. I don't think anyone does at this point, but what he expects is a lot of LAVs, you know, because that's basically what's been taking out his railguns. Missile batteries can be very good for that. I'd obviously prefer an actual counter unit like assault ships or AAVs, but missile batteries and missile ships are not bad against strike craft, and so you can definitely use them that way. Power 4 now on the way for Shrike. Mazrym, gonna be a while before he starts getting up onto 6, yeah? Just because he's not really got the money for that, obviously. Boosts coming down on these LAVs right here, these ones as well. So they're all gonna run in there on the eco really hard. So I think at this point Shrike probably just wants to commit. He's gotta be careful of this cruise missile though. What are the resources looking like? Just 140, so it's gonna take a while before that gets launched, but I think this kind of bunching up here, like right there, man. Oh, you know that's dangerous. You don't want to do that, right? And I think this is a really nice backstab here from his opponent. Because this is ready. I would be launching it right. Well, okay, good thing I'm not in charge here. I'd be launching it right there if I were him. Not yet getting fired though. And the railguns now have got limited line of sight. They're going to start doing a lot of damage. Mazrym just going to choose to GG, not going to fire that cruise missile first. And that is fair. I think it was pretty obvious the game was over there. Could have gone on for a bit longer if that cruise missile had gotten a really nice connection, but it was definitely at the end there. But really nice backstab at the end there. That's kind of what I wanted to see, you know, during the game. I think it was pretty well played. But yeah, I think the biggest thing I noticed here is that, like, Shrike lost so many railguns there to just, like, LAV run-bys because there was only one AAV there or something. And AAVs are obviously the counter unit to Strikecraft, but you need to have a few of them. Just one won't really cut it like that. Anyhow, well played to both players. Let's move on to the next round, next match from the round.